The last time Chelsea came to Anfield, they watched Liverpool lift the Premier League title. Tonight, both teams are desperate for 3 points to boost their hopes of qualifying for next season's Champions League as two very familiar managers come face to face. It is the most played fixture of English football this century. Liverpool and Chelsea meet for the 65th time since 2000, and it gets underway at 8:15. Hello there, very good evening to you. Welcome along to the Matchday Live preview in association with Standard Chartered. We will talk about a huge game at Anfield a little bit later on, but as Jurgen Klopp says in his programme notes tonight, we are becoming too used to loss this year. For so many of you watching at home, you will have lost a friend or a member of your family. And there's been so many members of the Liverpool family that have left us as well. Ray Clements, Gerard Houllier, even today, former striker Phil Chisnell, but also earlier this week, a great man, Ian St John, a man who had such a huge part to play in Bill Shankly revolution at Liverpool. 2 league titles and the huge honour of becoming the scorer of the winning goal in the first ever FA Cup that Liverpool delivered as well. He is a titan of a figure with 118 goals in more than 425 appearances. He has passed away at the age of 82 and he will be very sorely missed. And with me in the studio tonight, Jason McAteer and Ronnie Whelan are with me. We will start, of course, by talking about the late, great Ian St John. I said it there, one of the men who will permanently have his name etched in the history of this football club, Ron.
Yeah, to me, not just a great footballer, but a good lad as well. I've been fortunate to play plenty of golf with Saint over the last couple of years out in Spain. We've had some good laughs. He was he's one of the lads you just want to go out and play golf with. It would have been great to play with him on the football pitch as well, but no airs and graces, just has a good laugh and has a few beers with you. It's so sad, coming on the back of Clem as well, who I as well played golf with out in America. So all my golf partners are passing away, unfortunately, but great people.
Just to talk about him a touch as a player, Ronnie, and I was reading something that Bill Shankly said the other day to Eric Sawyer, the old financial director of the club, when he signed him from Motherwell. And if you're young and you're talking about transfer fees, £37,500, by the way, that they paid Motherwell. But he said he's not just a good centre-forward, he's the only centre-forward in the game. And I guess that the impact he, and particularly Ron Yates as well, had at the start of all of this shows that the magnitude of what he was like as a player. I
think if you look to today and you look at Alisson and Van Dijk coming into the football club, it seems to be Liverpool lifting up again when Klopp brought them in. But when the Saint and Yatesy came down from Scotland to Liverpool, it seems to have all been built with Shanks around them two, the spine of your team. You always look to get your spine of your team looking really good. These were 2 of the big cogs in that spine, and 2 great players. And everybody has said it. This is the beginning of, well, this is going back to the start of when Liverpool really became famous.
And you've said it so many times, Jason, that when you come and you play for this football club, you are trying to live up to the standards that the greats of the past have set, including the fella on our right-hand side who's got a few medals to show for his time. But right at almost the start of that journey is Ian St John with what he delivered. 2 league titles, we said, 64 and 66, and then the FA Cup as well.
Absolutely. The game, it moves on so quickly, doesn't it? You know, we move into these modern times and we appreciate all the players and what they've done, and we go back and we see Ronnie, you know, from me growing up, you know, watching Ronnie, he become a fan with Aldo and stuff. But we have to go back further than that, because like Ronnie said, the foundations of the football club were laid by obviously Bill Shankly's vision in 1965. But these boys were in the 2nd division. They had to get out the 2nd division into the 1st division, and then obviously they went on and won the FA Cup.
This is the FA Cup winning goal, yeah.
Thanks to Saint's, you know, brilliant header. I mean, he has to get right from behind it and put it into the back of the net, but it sets the platform and creates the success and the desire and the hunger then for the club to move on to what we're seeing today. And sometimes because there's a lack of footage or that it goes back so far, we don't delve into them times as much as we should do, really. These fellas are the real legends of the club, and like Ronnie said, I mean, if you read about Saint, there's been lots of stuff about him this week. He was going to Newcastle. You know, Shanks had to, you know, kind of convince him to come to Liverpool. And, like
and convince the board to spend the money as well.
Exactly. And he came with big Ron Yates and, you know, Callie and Roger Hunt. You know, they were the spine of the team. You know, they were the big players in the team. And like I said, they laid the bricks that, you know, the foundations were built on for us to go on and, you know, try and replicate. I mean, they did wonders. Ronnie's team done amazing and made it so hard for us and brought the pressure. But it's what the club is. It's the DNA. And these boys are true legends.
And go on, Ron.
When I came to the club, the likes of Saint, Tommy Smith, Yatesy, they were doing the media work then.
Yeah.
So they were doing what we're doing now. New lads, one your kid coming into the club, and then you'd see them in the corridor, or you'd see them up in the press box, and you start thinking, this was the era or two before me. The era before me was the likes of Clem and Ray Kennedy and that. But everybody still knew that Yatesy and Saint and Smithy and all them, they were so well respected at the football club because of what they had done the years previous. As a kid coming in, it was awe-inspiring. But
the Saint, not just, I mean, he was a brilliant footballer, like Ronnie said, he went into the broadcasting and into the media, but then obviously Saint and Greavesy was where I woke up. I mean, it was kick-off on a Friday night, it was a big match on a Sunday, but on the Saturday morning, it was like kids' TV. But if you love football and you love kids' TV, then Saint and Greavesy was the perfect thing to watch. And him and Greavesy, they hit it off, and the stuff that they got and they did was just amazing.
I want to come back to that actually in just a moment, but to just return to the football, and again, for people watching in the era of Facebook and on social media and stuff, they wouldn't perhaps understand the significance of winning the FA Cup, because that competition has changed. I know, obviously, for you it was a huge thing to be involved in a squad that went to an FA Cup final, but it's still talked about as one of Liverpool's great days, him delivering the first FA Cup with that goal in 1965.
Well, absolutely, because you've got to start somewhere. I mean, it's a no-given. I mean, like I said, they were in the second division, and all of a sudden they've got out of that division, then they've won the FA Cup. I mean, the progress is just ridiculously quick. That's how good they must have been. You know, but when, I keep saying this, when you win something, or for me, unfortunately I didn't, but I went to World Cups, like in '94 when I went with Ronnie and the boys, I wanted to do it again. It's like, it's a hunger, it becomes a desire, and that's what them boys did, and that's what the football clubs, that's the DNA. It brings desire and hunger for more silverware, for more trophies, for the likes of Ronnie to go on and, replicate.
Well, Jason touched on the broadcasting career that Ian St John had. We can have a little bit of a sort of inkling of his broadcasting. The players, the current players, ex-players as well, were under no illusions of the quality of the man, and so too when the Saint popped into Melwood just a couple of years ago.
I've heard that you could handle yourself, so to speak, so I think we've got a video to look at to prove that.
No.
Maybe. So look. Here we go.
What game is this? Oh.
Go on then.
Oh, hi, how many are they joining in here?
Whoa.
He's out cold. He's out cold. I told you it was a bit rougher, but...
Right, left.
Whoa.
It's a good combo.
Was it just a yellow or
no warning?
Was a warning?
Yeah, warning.
Hey.
Was that red card, that one?
I think I did get a holiday.
I love the level of understatement. It was a bit rougher back then, he says. He's absolutely swinging a massive fucking... As you said, as we were watching the VT, he did try a little bit of boxing in his younger days.
Yeah, so I've heard only recently, I didn't know that, but that left hook, certainly he's tried it. He's tried it and been fairly good at it. It's funny back in those days. You remember the Kevin Keegan and Johnny Giles when there was a Billy Bremner, at Wembley when
that was a cup final, was that?
Yeah, it was the Charity Shield, wasn't it? Yeah, and then there was
the shirts were off by the end of that one, weren't they? If I remember rightly.
Yeah,
but there's lots of fisticuffs went on back in the '60s. Luckily, it's calmed down a little bit now. But that was a hell of a left hook, and like you said, he did get a bit of a holiday for it.
And as you said, he was a very much respected broadcaster, which, as you would have seen probably just in the clip we showed there, a great sense of fun. I saw a little clip the other day of him going to Everton's training ground and sort of peeling off with his Liverpool shirt on at the end of it, and he had the real sense of humour. And I guess, again, we're sort of correlating everything to the modern day sort of soccer AM or something like that, wasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I still am living the dream and played for the football club, but my mates now are Ronnie Whelan, John Aldridge, Ray Houghton. But with the former players, it's such a unique football club because we are very, very close. We try and get together as much as we can at events, and obviously with the Legends games and the foundation and our own foundation, Forever Reds, we try and create money for charities and stuff. And we embrace the older players, like Callie still comes along, Chris Lawler's still there. And when you go to these events and people obviously come and they want to spend their time with the likes of the Saints and Callie and Chris Lawler, because they're the ones who the real stories. I mean, I had Tomo on a show we were doing yesterday, and I was engrossed by what Tomo was saying about how they were and how they dried the kit, and he used to clean the boots of the Saints and Cali, and it was just like, but he was an unbelievable storyteller, wasn't he, Ronnie? His time and his sense of time, and he was a joker, great sense of humour, and you could see why broadcasting was so natural to him.
Yeah, and we will speak about him a lot more, both pre and post-match on Matchday Live on LFC TV a little bit later on this evening, as we continue to pay tribute to Ian St John, who's died at the age of 82. But the Saint, of course, would want us to reflect and look ahead to the game today. It is a big one. It is Liverpool against Chelsea, a massive night in the battle for a top 4 place. And at Anfield for us this evening is Mark Benstead.
Thank you, Rob. Good evening from Anfield. You guys have just been speaking about the great Ian St John. I can tell you his passing will be marked ahead of kick-off here this evening. There'll be a round of applause to mark his contribution to this great football club over the years, and quite rightly so. He also adorns the front of tonight's Matchday programme as well. Jurgen Klopp's programme notes are often pretty revealing, pretty interesting. He often says more than most football managers, and that is once again the case this evening. He's made reference to the passing of the Saint, the loss suffered by Alisson Becker, of course, over the last week or so when his father tragically passed away. And, of course, some of the losses suffered by, well, everyone across the globe over the course of the last 12 months. This is what the Reds boss has had to say, speaking ahead of this evening's game. He says, "I've used this phrase or a version of it many times previously. Football can feel like the most important of the least important things in life. It feels appropriate again tonight, not just for Ali, but for the family of Ian St John, also a true LFC legend who we lost earlier this week. And for those who have suffered loss, this wonderful game of ours can still bring escape, energy and joy." Yeah, pretty poignant words from the boss ahead of this game, and something we can take into this match. In football terms, we are boosted by the return of Alisson Becker and Fabinho back amongst the squad as well. Chelsea arrive without Thiago Silva. He's not fit enough to play. Tammy Abraham has a slight doubt with an ankle problem. Of course, 2 Germans in the dugouts this evening. Thomas Tuchel at the helm of Chelsea now. This is what Jurgen Klopp has had to say about the challenges of facing Chelsea, managed by his fellow countrymen.
It's a full package required. Let me say it like this. So you have to defend because they let the ball roll. Let me say it like this. There's you have to work a lot, and then there are situations. It's not that you have the ball all the time and face a deep block. There will be a deep block when we could be dominant, but in other moments they are just defending in the right way and use then the space you give them for counterattacks. So patient you always have to be, but I don't think this is a game where you have specifically patient. You have to be patient in moments, you have to be lively in other moments, you have to be creative in moments, and you have to show your desire for defending in all the moments, because this is a top team, and they will have they will ask for a lot. And we should try to make sure that we have all the answers.
I'm pretty sure that Liverpool miss their fans like we miss their fans. I know from experience, and you know maybe even better than me, what an impact the crowd at Anfield can have on their team. And they dropped points, sometimes deserved, but many times also not deserved. And there was also a streak of very unlucky results. It is one of the strongest teams in Europe. They proved this again in Leipzig, one of the best managers in Europe. They have there is no doubt about it, but we are confident enough to go there and prepare ourselves what we have to do to win. And this is nothing else but a top A-level performance.
Yeah, just 1 point separates Liverpool and Chelsea going into this evening game. But, Jason, I mean, the more time goes on, the more you wonder. We maybe thought a couple of weeks ago whether it was one place up for grabs for the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea, but Manchester United and Leicester have been stumbling in recent weeks.
You know, consistency is something only Manchester City and Sheffield United have got this season for 2 completely different reasons. Everyone else just can't find it, can they? Yeah, top 4 is obviously what we're going for, isn't it? And like you said, a couple of weeks ago, it was looking a bit of a daunting task, but obviously Leicester, United, you know, West Ham all dropping points over recent weeks, certainly. Man United and Leicester last night dropping points, and Liverpool took advantage of that at the weekend by getting a win against Sheffield United. So it's condensed everything, and it's looking at a better prospect for us to finish in one of them 3 places. I think we can all agree Manchester United, Manchester City are probably going to run away with it, but it's very much in Liverpool's hands. And I think if you look at the fixtures that are left, the 12 fixtures, you know, Liverpool's, it's quite favourable. There's only 2 teams sitting above them they've got yet to play in them 12 games. So it's
unfortunately they've only lost 1 game against the teams above them this season.
Yeah.
It's the teams down at the bottom.
It is in their hands.
The problem is.
It is in their hands, to be honest.
It is in their hands, and that is the point, Ronnie, that Gini Wijnaldum made to me when I spoke to him after the match on Sunday, that, OK, we've won 1 against Sheffield United now, but it's now the time to find a little bit of momentum and a little bit of a string. You've got to reel off 4, 5, 6 wins. You can't just sort of beat Sheffield United and pat yourself on the back and then lose the next one. Yeah,
we all thought, didn't we, after Tottenham and West Ham, that we were back on a big run again, and this is where we're going to kick on till the end of the season. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Talking with Mark the other day before the Sheffield United game about the results that had been the night before, but they don't become important unless we win our game. We've got to do that. We've got to take everyone out of the equation and just go out, win your game, and then see where we end up doing it. But hopefully it is the start of a run of results. Hopefully it's the start of 12 wins on the trot. You couldn't really start with a harder one because Chelsea are playing extremely well at the moment.
One man who was missing on Sunday, Jason, who might be back tonight, we think Alisson will play, but Fabinho, if he's fit, where does he play?
Well, this is the big question. I thought the 2 centre-halves did really, really well. I think they answered all the questions. I think Nat Phillips was outstanding. I actually give him man of the match. I thought Kabak done a really good job as well. They did have enough to do. They did have decisions to make. You know, they did win headers. They did clear the lines. It was no frills, but they did everything that was asked of them and given the platform for the strikers to go and get the win. It's a difficult one. I mean, me and Ronnie were talking off it. It's a different proposition than McBurney to maybe Timo Werner playing tonight, but he's got a big choice. For me, I would keep the centre-halves and I'd play him in midfield.
Gary, that was Gary's opinion the other night as well when we were talking about the game, and I have to go the other way. I would start with Phillips and put Fabinho next to him. For me, it strengthens it. But I think we've got enough in midfield. Yes, Wijnaldum's played an awful lot of games. Thiago maybe feeling it a bit after coming back from injury. But I feel them with Jones in midfield is strong enough. Where we need strengthening is at the back, and that's why I think Fabinho needs to go there. Any other occasion, I would say no, put him in centre of midfield. I think we just need him there in this one.
I don't know if you noticed, you probably did. I mean, we were very fluid with the formation and the tactics against Sheffield United. It wasn't a rigid 4-3-3. We went 4-2-3-1 at one point. Mane become a very vocal central figure, and the 3 players behind him worked ever so well. Jones, really good performance. Thiago Wijnaldum sit in front of them back four, maybe to give him a little bit more protection. I think he could go like that again tonight. He could give him licence to be fluid, and in that sense, you know, then you could push Wijnaldum further up the pitch and you could get Fabinho in that midfield with maybe a more creative Thiago, and maybe that gives them a little bit of protection to play Phillips and Kabak. But it'll be interesting to see, because I like Ronnie's argument.
As for the opposition though, Ron, unbeaten in 9 since Thomas Tuchel replaced Frank Lampard at Chelsea. What's he improved about the team, would you say?
The ability not to give goals away and lose games. They've somehow become a very, very strong team defensively. He seems to have gone in, I'll get this right, see what I'm going for. He'll go 3 at the back now. Swaps his wing backs around. Hudson-Odoi, James, Alonso, Chilwell on the other side. He's got plenty of options in midfield. The players we knew under Frank Lampard were good players. They looked good under Frank Lampard, but they're looking better now under Tuchel. I don't know, he's got this, I don't know what he's got, but he's got something, a bit like Klopp, that he gets players and he wants them to play for him. And if you're going to mess about, like Hudson-Odoi did last week, he gets them off after half an hour after putting them on. It's not a case of just sending out a message. It's a case of, well, you're not doing what I want you to do.
The point would be, I guess, Jason, that Ronnie said, I'm not sure what he's got. The cynic would say he's got what every other Chelsea manager who's come in midway through a season's got, that they usually get a reaction, don't they? He might not be here this time next year, but usually when one manager replaces another, suddenly some performances tend to improve a little bit.
So I really liked what Frank did. I think Frank's downfall was, I think he was kind of like hidden a sweet shop, and he didn't quite know his first 11, his strongest 11.
Do you think Tuchel does yet?
I don't think he does, but I think he's got a good idea, and I think he's a stronger character than Frank. I think Frank might and a bit inexperienced as being a manager. I think Tuchel, he kind of knows what he's doing. Listen, Ronnie's right. I mean, he's come in, he's had 7 clean sheets out the 9 games that he's had. He's only conceded 2, albeit a little bit pragmatic against Manchester United. But I was reading up on him today, and what was interesting, when he was at Paris Saint-Germain, for as offensive as they were, I mean, his success rate there was 76%. It was fantastic. He changed the formation 10 times, 10 different formations. He was very versatile with the squad. Now, I think he's got the squad to be versatile at Chelsea, and I'm not sure whether you quite know how he's going to play, and this is going to be a real plus point for him.
Very similar to Nagelsmann we were talking about the other week.
Yeah, and Jurgen is very similar in his approach, but is a bit more...
The formation doesn't change much.
He's a bit 4-3-3, and he's quite like stringent with it, although now I think he's quite adverse to maybe changing it up because he has to. You know, you don't want to be predictable, do you? And I think that's Tuchel's kind of thing. He doesn't want to be predictable, but he's got a very, very strong squad. If he finds goals, and like Ronnie said, he's got the platform with not conceding, these could be very dangerous, Chelsea.
Well, the last couple of times he's been to Anfield, Thomas Tuchel has suffered late heartbreak with both Borussia Dortmund and Paris Saint-Germain. We shall see what happens tonight. We are live on LFC TV and LFC TV Go on the move as well from 7:15. Team news, more from Ronnie and Jason, interviews with both managers, and more on Ian St John as well. We will see you a little bit later on. Bye for now.